Welcome to the show. We have the one and only Bad Boy Hitman producer, Platinum Boy Amadeus. Amadeus, what's going on? You're live now, sports and hip hop with DJ Mad Max, WSG Radio, St. John's University. Sound off the air horns.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. What an amazing introduction, man. Thank you for having me. I'm honored. I'm grateful. I'm humbled to be here and chosen to have this interview with you. Salute and congrats to everything you've done, everything you've accomplished, all of the amazing interviews that you've done in the past. Again, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate that and you acknowledging me as well. But to start off something unique, you have all the plaques in the background. Which one are you most proud of?
Great question. So I'd say this one, which is
Cradle to the Grave, but Foxy Brown.
Yes, sir. I would say that one. That one put me on the map as a producer. My first placement, my first introduction to the world as a musician and as a producer. So I would say that one. And if I can name two more that mean a lot to me, I would say the Young M.A. Petty Wap Gold plaque for the single, and Davies featuring Chris Brown Perfect for the single. Those are my first two gold plaques that I've gained from singles. So those I'm very proud of, and definitely a monumental moment for me in my career as a producer. And shout out to the breed that I produced Davies Chris Brown record with, and shout out to Velocity Music that I created the Young and Meg Petty Watt record with. Yeah, so those three those three mean, not saying that the rest of them don't, because it's all I call wall art. They're all great accolades, gold and platinum plaques from all of the different various projects that I've been blessed to produce for. But I love that question, man.
Did you ever think that Foxy Brown would be the first artist that you produced for? Because she came into the game slamming with a hit record, Il Nana. That's a classic, an undisputed classic, of course, which
Facts.
You can go on there and just read off the list of the amount of classics that are on there. You got The Promise on there with Havoc. She's got songs with Method Man on there. We're talking about a prime female MC.
Yes, sir.
Coming out of Brooklyn. People think she's in Queens, but people get that messed up sometimes because of the whole Nas connection. But there's a Jay-Z connection and so much more. Go research Foxy Brown if you haven't heard of her, one of the greatest of all time. But
yes, sir.
I'm going to assume that you were a big Foxy Brown listener growing up with Il Nana.
Huge fan. Not only with the music, but I definitely thought she was my girl without even knowing her. I think that was a lot of the story of a lot of us young fellows that was growing up in the game. We all had crushes on Foxy, so salute to Foxy. But no, I definitely didn't think that it would be her. That would be the artist that I would work with first. It was an opportunity that came about of me meeting her with her brother, Anton Marchand, who was the director of A&R at Interscope Records. And it was kind of a situation where I think he had City High and Wyclef and a few artists that were like more R&B pop. And at the time, for me, just starting out, I was a straight up hip hop producer, like no R&B, no pop, just boom bap, hard samples. And, everything I played him, he loved, but he was like, this just doesn't fit what I'm working on. He was like, but you would be really dope, with my sister. And I'm like, who's your sister? And he's like, Foxy Brown. And I'm like, she ain't your sister, bro. But, like you said, me being a fan of Foxy, like I knew her government name. So as I looked at his government name on his desk, it said Anton Marchand, and I knew that was, Foxy's last name. Met with her in the studio that night, played her the same beats I played him, left her with the CD that night of beats, got a call the next day, like, yo, she went crazy on two beats, bro. Like, one is going to be for the Cradle to the Grave movie and soundtrack, the actual title song. And there's another record that she did called Get Off Me, which was a diss record.
Towards Eve.
And that was kind of how I came in the game. And not to jump the gun, but I remember like being petrified because I'm like, man, am I going to be like in the middle of this beef or this situation, on wax? Like, I don't know Eve. I just met Foxy. I have nothing to do with both situations. And I love Eve. Like, I want to work with Eve too. And I just, was scared that that record would kind of like ruin any opportunity or chances that I would have to work alongside Eve. But shout out to my big brother, Buckwild, legend in the game as a producer, produced Story, I Got a Story to Tell, produced I Love You by Faith, a bunch of different records. And he was just like, one of my mentors. And he's like, yeah, bro, you the producer, you ain't got nothing to do with that. Like, that's the lyrics are between them, the two MCs, you just made the beat. That's it. So that was kind of, how I came into the game as a producer. So shout out to Foxy Brown.
And when we're talking about Buckwild, are we talking about Buckwild from Digging in the Crates?
Yes, sir.
That's legendary. That's crazy. Now, how did you get linked up with Buckwild? Because he's a legend in the game.
Big facts. So it was really dope. My mom and a friend of his were really close. And that was at the time when I was kind of trying to figure stuff out. I knew that I wanted to do music, and I was a musician already, but that was kind of when I was trying to decide whether I wanted to be a producer or not. And so he was a family friend, man. And, you know, she reached out to him, my mom's, and she was like, my son is talking about this beat stuff and being a producer. Like, I know this is what you do. You know, can you kind of like take him around and let him see what it is, to see if it's something that he really wants to do and take seriously. So I remember the night like it was yesterday, man, him taking me to the studio. We went to Daddy's House Studio, which is Puff Studio, home of, you know, Big, Faith, Mace, 112, this goes on. Took me to Right Track Studio. So that one night he had a meeting with Missy, Busta Rhymes, and a few other artists. And I got to kind of see the process of like him putting on the music and them kind of just rocking down. Oh, I like that. Oh, go to the next one. Oh, I need this right here. And that was the night where I was like, okay, this is definitely, you know, what I want to do. So shout out to Buckwild for introducing me to the studio and letting me see the behind the scenes. You know, a day in the life, a day at work with Buckwild, and that, you know, really inspired me and pushed me to really pursue it, man. And we're still brothers and friends still to this day. He shared numerous times of how proud he was of me, you know, making it to the level that I made it, you know, today, and forever grateful for Buckwild.
Buckwild's one of the greatest of all time. You're following in his footsteps, and when it's all said and done, you're going to be mentioned in there 100%.
Humble, man.
From all the work that you've done, and just thinking about how important producers play a part in this game of music. And now it's so hard to recognize producers, because back in the days, we had to go back to the ancient dinosaur days for these kids that we're listening to, because when you went to the store, you bought your album, what was there? Those booklets that came with the album art, and you'd be able to identify the producers, identify everyone who had a part in putting the album together. We don't get that anymore. So now you have to go and do your actual research.
Right. Yeah. I miss those days so much, man. That was something that I did first. Like before I even listened to the project, before I listened to the album, I would open up the booklet because I would be excited to see and read who was producing, who was the songwriters, who were the features, you know what I mean, and everybody that was involved in making the project. So that was very exciting to me, man. So, you know, to now be in 2021 and no longer having those discs and those booklets to read. You know, it sucks. You know, it definitely sucks, because a lot of us producers don't really get the love and the acknowledgement and the recognition that we're so used to getting, you know, when we had actual physical albums. So it sucks, man. And I think it kind of turned into where a lot of people don't even care. You know, a lot of artists don't even be mindful and respectful enough to make sure that they include the producer in their post, or say, you know, once they release the record or the video or the single, you know, such and such produced by Amadeus, like they'll give the stylist a shout out. They'll give the photography or the videographer a shout out. You know, they'll give the manager a shout out, the label and their homeboys. But then, you know, no one knows who was behind the beat. And at the end of the day, that's very important, alongside all of those other people that I mentioned, because they deserve their credit as well. But to not credit the producer, man, is to me one of the most disrespectful things you can do, because without the producer, without the beat, that song, you know, would have never been created. You know what I mean? So it sucks, but gratefully we have social media, you know, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We have the internet online, which wasn't available to me when I first started producing. So you can kind of use your own social media to really, you know, share with the world the songs and the hits you're behind, and to just put out to the masses that you're responsible from a production sense, you know, for those songs that are out. So that's definitely been a help, especially for me as a producer.
What would you say would be the main way? Because I'm going to bring up an example here. People said that Nas was a terrible beat picker, but to me, his lyrics always overshadowed the beats. What's a way that the producer and the artist can coincide, in which they both did their thing on a track, in which even the beat producer doesn't outdo the artist? What's the way that they can both coincide, whereas the producer did his thing and the artist did his thing?
I think, and that's a great point that you bring up, I think it's very important to understand the process of creativity, right? Where a producer is creating the blueprint and creating beats and then presenting those to artists and songwriters, right? And A&Rs and managers. So you got to understand, like, if Nas picks a beat, or whoever picks a beat, is based off of how they connect to it. You know what I'm saying? It's based off of the feeling that they get when they hear that track, that inspires them and encourages them to write you know, whatever they feeling at that moment, whether it's a hit record or a record that tells a story or however it connects with them. So we got to give them the freedom to be able to do that. Now, at the end of the day, as a fan, as a listener, you're not going to love everything an artist does. Like, I don't care who it is. Like, I'm a huge Notorious B.I.G. fan. I'm a huge Jay-Z fan. Like, there's records on, you know, on those albums that I skip and that I pass, you know, not to say that they're whack. It just may not be my favorite joint on, or a joint that I may not connect to. And those are hands down, arguably two of the greatest hip hop MCs and artists of all time. But I press skip. So it is what it is, man. And I just think if the tracks that he chose connected with him and he was able to write those records too, you know, it's kind of the hard to say, oh man, that beat is whack, or, you know, I didn't really, it connected to him at the end of the day. And we have to be mindful and understand that when artists give us creativity, it's from their lens, it's from their point of view, it's from their heart, mind, body, and soul, right? So when they share that with us, they had to first fall in love with it first. You know what I'm saying? Like, he fell in love with it, he loves it, and he presents it to you. So you have a choice. You could either rock with it or you don't, but at least it's my truth. It's how I feel inside, and it's the real, you know, it's real of what I'm putting out there on wax. You know what I mean? So I just think that's a different lens to kind of view it from.
I find that very informative, because that's important, learning behind the creativity, behind the scenes of everything, of how tracks are put together and how artists feel that it'll work with them. And if they can catch a feeling off of it, if they vibe with it, that's gonna be a hit immediately.
Right.
Back in the days when you were growing up, what's an album hip hop wise, a classic hip hop album wise, that you love the production on?
Whew. Definitely
There's a
big.
lot of them.
Yeah, there's a lot. You know, a big fan, big Notorious, a B.I.G. fan. Nas, that you brought him up. Naughty by Nature.
KG.
Yeah, Naughty by Nature. Premier, you know, Gangstar. Man, I could list so many. Snoop Dogg, you know, Dr. Dre, the Chronic album, Chronic 2001. And even to go back, you know, Michael Jackson, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the Thriller and
Quincy Jones.
Yeah, man. So I can go on forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's 100% a lot of them. What one would you love to take part of most out of the ones that you named? If you're just going back one day, you're searching through your Apple Music library and just thinking to yourself, man, I wish I was able to touch this album and add a little Amadeus flavor to it.
I would have loved to work with Big. I would love to work with Big, man. Like, hold on one second, okay? This right here. Yeah, I would have loved to be on the Big album. Just so much creativity, so much swag, so much sauce. Another album, 112.
112. The first one, the debut with Can I See You?
Yeah,
that's classic. Cupid,
Only You, Hypnotized. So many I can name.
Classics. 100% classics. So now, growing up in the Bronx, originally, this is getting into you becoming a drummer, is that during your time while you were in school, you were absent one day and your music teacher was presenting the instruments that he had to the class, and you were absent the day that he was giving out the instruments. And when you came back, the only things that were left were the violin and the drums.
Right. Yeah. It sucked, man, because normally my parents never let me stay home from school, and they did for this one time. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to learn how to play the trumpet and how to play the saxophone. And so when I went to school the next day, those slots were taken. And I was really pissed off, man. And the only thing left was violin and percussion. And I grew up in the Bronx. I'm from 169th from Washington Avenue, the 9, a hood, and the projects over there. So I was already a target because I was going to school, a Catholic school. So I was dressing up and having to dress up every single day and wear shoes and slacks, shirts and ties. And the last thing I was going to do was add a violin to that. So I was like, I didn't even know what percussion meant, but I chose that because I definitely wasn't going to go with violin, and show up the next day in class to learn that it had everything to do with rhythm, drums, bongos, congas, wood blocks, xylophones. And it was pretty cool, man. And again, I didn't have any aspirations or any desire to be a musician. I loved music. I loved hip hop music. I really gravitated towards the music side of things. I was a lyrics person, but really the music kind of stuck to me more than the lyrics. Um, and I picked up the drumsticks for the first time, and the rest was history. I was a natural at it. My teacher realized that. I realized that. My classmates bugged out, and it was kind of cool because of how my classmates responded. Like I didn't really think nothing of it, but they were looking at me in awe, like, "Oh my God, like he plays drums and it's so cool." So I was more inspired by how I wowed everybody, and then kind of was pursuing it for that. And then as time went on, I got to really hear if I really applied myself and practiced and rehearsed, what I could really sound like as a musician and as a drummer. And that's when the love, happened in regards to musicianship.
Did you like private school? Because I went to private Catholic school too. All I can remember is it's just the bad memories, of course, but it's always hot in a Catholic private school building.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was cool. It really forced me to focus. The one thing that I hated about it was the fact that I couldn't wear what I wanted to wear.
Mhm.
And that was the part that sucked. I wore the same thing each and every single day, so I couldn't really show, the swag and wear the kicks and stuff that everybody that went to public school was able to wear. So I was kind of bummed out about that. But I learned also that my parents were paying for Catholic school for me and my siblings. I didn't know that you had to pay for that until one day, my parents kind of shared it with me when I was wanting like the Jordans or wanting like the Pele or like a North Face. Like I didn't have none of those things because the finances was going into my education, and they couldn't pay tuition for me and my siblings, and then rent and food. Like that was my tuition when I got to high school. Tuition for me alone, I think was like $490 a month. You know what I'm saying? And
Crazy.
crazy. So, I kind of understood it more than when the older I got, but as a kid, man, you want to be fly, you want to be fresh, you want to be flashy. And it was something that I couldn't do. So that was kind of really the only thing that bothered me. I will admit, for high school, I went to an all boys school, Cardinal Hayes High School in the Bronx. And when my pops, told me that was happening, I was vexed. I was definitely vexed. I was like, how can you do this to me, bro? Like, how can you send me to a school with no girls, man? Like, come on, man. And, that was my feeling initially. But I tell you what, the best 4 years of my entire life, like the brotherhood that I gained, the colleagues that I gained, again, there was no women in there, so you had no choice but to focus on, school and doing the right thing and your work and homework and studying because there was no distractions. You know what I'm saying? And again, the best 4 years of my life, man. So I'm grateful that my pops put his foot down and make me go to that school because I really had a great time, and it really molded me into partially into the musician and the person that I am today in regards to the level of focusedness, respect, how I carry myself, how I dressed, how I demand respect from others and how I give respect, how I speak. Definitely my schooling definitely played a major part in that.
Do you ever go back in your mind and put yourself back into your shoes where you were either in high school, middle school, and you just say to yourself, man, I can't believe I am where I am today. I never would have thought I would have been Amadeus, the big producer that has all these platinum and gold records. Did you ever think
Believe
that?
believe it or not, man, I the dreams that I had as a youngin and as a kid were so far fetched, but to me, I believed in every single one of them. Like I, for some reason, deep down inside, I knew that I would be here today. There was no doubt in my mind. And the thing about it was, first, I believed and I knew that God had blessed me with these gifts and talents that I had, and I just wanted to do the right thing with it. But the work that I put in, to get to where I'm at today is crucial. I lost a lot of friends, I lost girlfriends, homeboys, family, because I was that committed to, the music. I was that committed to creating, and I didn't want to go hang out. I didn't want to do anything regular. I didn't want to hang out with my friends. I just wanted to stay in the studio, which is in my home, and create and create and create because that was the only way that I knew that I would become better at what I do in my craft. So I knew that I would be here. Um, it is mind blowing. It is amazing. I do sit back and have moments like, oh snap, like not from disbelief, but like, yo, this is the real deal. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the real deal. You know, so yeah, man, it's a blessing. It's a great feeling. And just for those that are tuned in, you know, it just goes to show you that, you know, you can do anything you put your mind to. You know, you know, I'm from the bottom. I'm from the hood. I'm from statistically speaking, you know, I'm supposed to be dead. I'm supposed to be locked up. I'm supposed to be in jail. Um, I'm not supposed to be in the position that I'm in today. But obviously, you know, you don't have to be a statistic, man. You can prove, you know, whoever thinks whatever they think wrong. And that's pretty much what I did with my career.
Mhm. From the point of when you started playing the drums all the way up to when you started going to church and you started getting involved there, that's where you were introduced into the drum machine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I didn't really know that when it came to um, producing, that a lot of it had to do with, you know, drum machines and synthesizers and keyboards. You know, I thought it was just live, you know, but as you learn the sound of live drums, you notice like, nah, that can't be live, you know? So then I started really understanding and appreciating samples and digging and listening to records and old records and getting sounds and getting drum sounds and, you know, getting keyboards, which had various instrument sounds and stuff like that, man. So yeah, it was kind of a cool experience, man. I used to go to Sam Ash, which is a music store in White Plains, and you know they will allow you to play all the instruments and mess around. You could stay in there all day if you want, and that's what I would do, just kind of experimenting and figuring things out musically. But yeah, that's pretty much how it came together. And church was everything for me, man. It's really where I developed as a musician and as a producer. Like I say, it's where I got my sauce and my swag. And my understanding from music that is no rules. It's you know, play what's in your heart, play what's in your mind, play what's in your spirit, play what's in your soul, you know, and that can't be taught. You know, that's something that you're born with and you develop as time goes as a musician and as a producer, man. So I'm, you know, grateful to my church. Shout out to the Cathedral, that Greater Faith, which is my church home, my bishop, my late bishop and pastor, Michelle White, my musician colleague, my brother Sue. Rest in peace, Derek Garbo, Scott Van Putten, rest in peace. These are some of the musicians that I played alongside in my church. My man Butters, and Steve Styles, and Ricky, and Nate, Brian. These are my brothers that I've been playing alongside with for years, all my life. That have also went on to do great things in music from a production sense and a musicianship sense as well.
It's fair to say that Amadeus is one of the last real producers because you had to actually find your sound. You had to make your sound. Nowadays, kids can just pull up produce an app on their laptop, Logic, and there you go. You put the drum loops together and there's a beat. What would you say is the Amadeus sound?
It's really hard to say, man, because
there's a lot of them.
I'm from New York. I'm from the Bronx, like I said. But you know, when you think about my credits, you know, yes, I produced for 50 Cent and G Unit and Dipset and
J.Lo,
you know, Foxy Brown and J.Lo and French Montana, right? But then I also, you know, work with Jeezy and T.I. and Young Jock and Gorilla Zoe. You know, man, I also work with The Game. You know what I'm saying? And Lil Easy E and you know, and then from an R&B side, Chris Brown, Trey Songz, Justin Bieber, Keisha Cole, Danny D. Kane. So as you can see, I have a wide range, a variety of music, of sound. So, you know, I never, honestly, respectfully speaking, I've never been a fan or wanting to create one sound so that people would know it's me once a record or once a track came on. Like I wanted to be the opposite of that. I wanted to shock them every time. Like, oh snap, Amadeus did that record. Dag, I didn't know he can create that. I didn't know he had those type of vibes too. So I always wanted to challenge myself and shock the fans and shock the world with what I was capable of doing. So I can't really say personally I have a sound. A lot of people say, you know, they can recognize me from my drums or my drum patterns, you know, from time to time. But if you ask me, man, no rules. Definitely can't box me in. I'm all over the place with it.
Now for the J.Lo record, she called you for Same Girl. She gave you a phone call and you hung up the first time she called because you didn't believe it.
Dude, I was in shock because I'm like, why would J.Lo be calling me directly? Like, why wouldn't her team call me, like her manager or her publicist or like, I don't know, her A&R? Like, so it just kind of caught me off guard. I'm like, hello? She's like, hello, can you speak Amadeus? I'm like, speaking. I'm like, who's calling? This is Jen. I'm like, Jen who? Jennifer Lopez, J.Lo. I was like, whatever. Like, the cool part is that she called back. Like, this is whole J.Lo, man. So she called back. I was like, no, for real. This is Jennifer. I'm calling because, we're working on the same girl record. And there's a few things that I want to happen in the track. And I just kind of wanted to share it with you. And I'm sitting there like, whoa, this is her, and she's like, yeah, I just wanted to call you directly, to kind of give you my vision. No one can share my vision like how I can share my vision. So I'm very hands-on like that. And, I just wanted to reach out to you directly myself. And I'm just still sitting there like, so she told me what she wanted musically. And she's like, how soon can you get that back? I'm like, today. I could do it. I could do it right now. Like right away. She's like, okay, cool. We are working on it right now, but if you can get to it today, cool. If not, just maybe first thing tomorrow. I'm like, no. We're gonna get this today. Worked on it, sent it to her, and she's like, yep, this is it. Exactly how I wanted it. She invited me to the video shoot. Shoot a video to this. I'm gonna shoot it in the Bronx, guerrilla style. You can pull up, come hang out, whatever. And I'm like blown away, man. And that was an amazing opportunity. And Chris Brown actually orchestrated that.
He wrote the song.
Yeah, he got called in to work alongside her. He had a folder of tracks of mine. He pulled up my folder, played a bunch of beats. She picked, that track that was produced by myself and Ryan Tedder and Chizzy, my boy Chizzy. And the rest was history, man. Showed up to the video. The most humble person you'll ever meet, man. She was walking around, no security, just kind of like her and her glam squad. And they was like, yeah, just let her know you're here. I'm like, me walk up to her. She's like, yeah, she's really cool. Don't worry about it. I'm like, what? And she's like starting to walk on set. And I'm like, hey, Mrs. Lopez, this is Amadeus. And she's like, oh my God. And like runs over and gives me a huge hug. And she's like, I'm walking to the set. Why don't you walk with me? Walk into the set with her. She gets out there. She introduces me to the entire set. Like, this is Amadeus. He produces the record. Everybody's showing some love. And I'm just like, it's a whole Jennifer Lopez, bro. But
that's crazy.
Just an amazing person, man. It just goes to show you, man, you could be she's hand down one of the biggest female artists and entertainers of all time, especially from a female. Definitely the queen of the Bronx. Nothing to talk about there, and just amazing. So for her to be that humble and so warm and loving, was epic, man. And we've stayed in contact ever since. I went to a bunch of her shows and hung out backstage in her dressing room with her and her family, and just A1. So shout out to J.Lo, man. A real one right there.
That goes to show you she stayed true to her song. And don't be fooled by the rocks that I got. She's still Jenny from the block.
Yeah, real talk. Real talk.
That's insane, man. That's a wonderful story. Is that a record that you hold yourself true to yourself very personally? You may get emotional by it, or could it be the Justin Bieber record? Because I mean, these are huge artists that you're working with.
Right. Crazy. Yeah, I think, J.Lo is definitely special to me, man. With us both being from the Bronx, like I said, she's a legend all around the world, and especially the Bronx, man. She's from the Bronx, so everybody's from the Bronx. Just have a different love and appreciation and respect for her, because we know what it is coming from the Bronx, because we're from the Bronx, right? So she's from Castle Hill. So that's probably about 10 to 15, 20 minutes, depending on traffic, from where I grew up at. Another rough neighborhood, pretty tough. So definitely that definitely means, the world to me, to have that opportunity to work alongside her. Justin Bieber as well. I'm glad you named that too. It's a Christmas song, Christmas Eve. Also written by, Chris Brown. So that's special, because at the end of the day, it's something that comes around every year. And for those Justin Bieber fans who love that record, every time Christmas Eve comes about, they play that song and they play that record, which is monumental, just from a vibe sense, but then also from a financial point too, whereas, them royalty checks and them publishing checks come in, you know what I mean? Every year after Christmas and Christmas Eve. So yeah, I think each and every moment, if I had to break it down, serves a special place, in my heart, because it's all my work. It's all my blood, sweat, and tears. And for tracks of mine and collabos of mine to be chosen by some of the greatest artists, in the game, is very humbling, and is something that, I'm very appreciative of.
You've also had the chance to work with Tony Sunshine, as people know. He's from the Terror Squad.
Yes,
Imagine
sir.
if what a legendary R&B singer from the Terror Squad.
Word.
Imagine if
Yes, sir.
you had the opportunity to produce for Pun, and he was able to just spit all those bars on an Amadeus record.
Dude, that would have been legendary, man. That would have been legendary, and grateful that we was able to have him for as long as we did have him as an artist and as an MC. Hands down, one of the greatest. Again, especially from the Bronx. Just different, unique, own style. Sounded like no one. And no one is able to sound like him. So salute to him, man. Rest in peace, Pun. Would have loved that, man. And Fat Joe is also another one of my heroes. Especially from being from the Bronx. I used to go stand in front of Halftime, which was his clothing store in the Bronx, just to see if I could see him. And I was successful on a few days, to actually see him. I didn't even want to say nothing. I just watch him from afar. And I'm like, yo, man, that's Fat Joe. So salute to everybody from the Bronx, man. That's doing great things, that paved the way. Salute to the legends, Grandmaster Mel, Grandmaster Melly Mel, Flash, Furious 5, and Kid Capri. It was so many people from the Bronx. Buckwild's from the Bronx. Laura Finesse, digging and Crazy Crew. Like, we can go on and on, from Remy Ma, King Amadeus. So I'm proud to be from the Boogie now, man.
Yeah, if it wasn't from the Bronx, see, this rap wouldn't be here.
Peter Guns, Lord Tyreek,
you know where I was going with that. I had to keep it clean.
Sir. Uptown,
baby.
Uptown, baby.
Oh, that's classic.
KRS-One, it's so many. I don't want to start forgetting people, man. KRS-One, Boogie Down Productions, D.I.T.C. Sheesh, we can go on and on and on, man.
Classic. And rest in peace to Scott LaRock, too. He's another one of the creators and innovators in the Bronx scene of hip hop, too. That's another legend in the game. That's all that comes out of the Bronx, is legends and legends and legends. And I would love to have your opinion on how the sound has changed production-wise, especially from New York, because I don't have a problem when the trap sound is coming from Florida. My problem is when these New York artists hop on that trap sound, because our roots are the boom bap sound. We love that. And that's something that interests me when you were working with Dave, because I feel as though Dave still upholds that tradition. Yeah. This is New York. He's not going to jump on a trap beat and make that his sound. He'll jump on it and body it. Right. But his sound is Harlem. It's New York.
Yeah. I think you gotta be, I get what you're saying, and it's so true. And I was very stubborn as a producer when it came time to kind of broaden my horizons and tap into, other type of sounds. But I think that's what makes it cool, when a creative can do anything. You know what I'm saying? Even though it was boom bap, sounds and styles changes, and you got to be able to adapt, to that style and to that sound when it changes, especially if you want to be relevant. You think about all of the drill music that's happening right now. A lot of people are making drill music. It's not my cup of tea. I haven't tapped into that. It's just not something that I want to make, with all due respect. But, it's cool that people can change their style up and try something unique and try something different. Listen, at the end of the day, everybody wants to win. So boom bap, unfortunately, ain't on the top of the charts. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to be successful and financially stable and you want to win, you kind of got to be able to adapt. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. So it's no knock to anybody that taps into that. I think it's kind of cool when artists can kind of show different layers and adversity, you know what I mean? But I do get what you're saying in regards to people from New York just trying to make a whole trap album. Like, if you're going to take a record or two, get the Migos on it, a Little Baby or the Baby, and do your thing, cool, because they super on fire right now. But, don't make a whole album, with that sound, especially if you represent Brooklyn, New York, Queens, or Staten Island, or Manhattan, or the Bronx, you know what I mean? Like, gotta keep the essence somehow, some way.
Yeah, we got to have that New York sound in there somehow, some way, as you said. I want to get into you meeting Trey Songz because you're his music director and tour drummer. And with COVID now, are you guys going to be ready to perform soon again? Because I hear that the performances are starting to open back up a little bit. I'm seeing artists post tour dates. Do you guys have anything lined up?
Not at the moment, but hopefully, things will start coming together, man. It's definitely been over a year, and I actually posted this, I think, Sunday. Which was yesterday, since I touched drums, man. Like, not even like picked up the drumsticks. And it was funny. I was talking to one of my colleagues, my brothers and musician colleagues of mine, brother Keon Harold, and I'm like, yo, I don't even know if I know how to play drums no more, man. It's been that long. And he's like, nah, it's second nature, bro. It's like riding a bike. You know, you don't touch a bike for years, or in your adulthood, you know, the last time you touched the bike was when you was a kid. And then when you get on the bike, it's like if you was, you know, just rode yesterday. So I'm looking back, you know, I'm looking forward to returning back to doing what I love. It's a great thing performing and being on stage amongst Trey Songz and my musician brothers, and just creating an epic performance and experience for the fans that show up, you know, to hear their favorite songs and just to kind of get away from life and the hardships and just enjoy themselves in concert. So I can't wait to, you know, I get that call and we get that call to return to the stage and do our thing. And I'm still going to be safe, man, because this thing is still out here running crazy and still killing people. Maybe it's not as much as it was before, but it's still out here, man. And we got to really keep our guards up and protect ourselves as much as possible and be on point. Because like I said, this COVID thing is still out here.
Yeah, it still is. And are you someone that is for getting the vaccine?
Not at the moment. I do feel like there's not enough information on it. There's not enough information to me. There's not enough answers, like concrete answers, of questions that I have, of questions that I've seen other people ask, like, you know, like them saying, you can get the vaccine, right? But you still can, you know, get the virus and still spread the virus, you know, which is kind of like, well, what's the point, right? But then the other, I guess the pros to it is, if you do get the vaccine, they're saying, you know, you won't, it won't be as lethal as it is, or you won't, you know, pass away or have to be hospitalized because of the symptoms and stuff like that. So I don't know. I just feel like it's not enough information. I've went this long, which is over a year, of protecting myself and keeping myself well. I've never, thank God, have gotten the virus, and my household as well, my family.
Thank God.
Thank God, amen. And so I'm just going to continue to do what I've been doing, protecting myself, keeping my hands clean, keeping my distance, mask on, you know, when I'm around anyone, and you know, keep frequently getting tested just to make sure I'm cool. And I'm just going to keep moving forward like that. And I think with us experiencing this and the way we've experienced it, I kind of feel like it's something that I will implement for the rest of my life. Just being a little bit more aware of my cleanliness, you know what I'm saying, and what I subject myself to, because the fact that in a year I haven't gotten sick whatsoever says a lot. I'm talking about like a normal cold, and you know, and I work out when it's a little nippy, you know, I work out and sweat and stuff like that, I ride my bike, and you know, normally that's, you know, you would think that that's what be ways, we were raised that those are ways that you can get yourself sick. But I've learned it's like, nah, and you get yourself sick from bacteria. Like, and 9 times out of 10, bacteria being on your hands and it goes in your mouth or goes in your nose, just like the virus, goes in your eyes, and next thing you know, you're sick. So it's just amazing that I haven't been sick whatsoever in over a year. And like I said, it showed me a lot. I learned a lot from this virus. It showed me a lot from this virus about myself and about the world and just cleanliness in general. And even when it's back to normal, you know, I'm just going to continue to carry myself this way and just be, you know, make sure my hygiene is on point and just be more aware. Because I was definitely oblivious before. I was dabbing 100 people at events and then getting a slice of pizza and licking each and every single one of my fingers after. Like, you ain't thinking of that, bro. No. But now it's like, never again. Like, I haven't licked my fingers since this thing came about. Then it's like, I have no intentions of doing it, because it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to put the gloves on to shake hands, dap people up. Then you go to get your pizza. No, I'm not going to eat it right there on the spot. You put it in the box. I go home, wash my hands, then eat it.
It's a process, bro.
It's a much longer process, but it's much needed now, especially everything going on. And thank God that you haven't been sick and anyone in your family hasn't. That's important. Amen. And, you know, sure. Just keep staying in. But during your time during COVID, I mean, you've been able to create an own IG live show. I saw that you had Capone on. When you had Capone on last year, Capone's very close with me. He's been on my show a few times. And just nice. How's it been to share just stories and have legends on your show? Redman's came through. Who are some other people that you were surprised that came through the show and that you've been able to share your time with and share stories and communicate with?
Yeah, like you mentioned, had Capone on, had Redman on, had Sway from Sway in the Morning, had
Mm-hmm.
Eric Sermon, Big Daddy Kane, Dougie Fresh, Kelly Price, Carl Thomas, Slim of 112, Darius McCrary, who plays Eddie Winslow in Family Matters, Malcolm Jamal Warner, who plays Theo in The Cosby Show. Who else? So many, dude. Who else? I'm missing a bunch, but man, epic, epic, epic. And all I wanted to do, Melly Mel, I had Grandmaster Melly Mel on there. All I wanted to do was give them their roses, man. Really just celebrate them, um, and just share how much of a hero they are to me, and how much they mean to me, and what they've done, and how they inspired me in my career musically. That was pretty much all it was. Like, it really wasn't a show. I just jumped on with the time that I had, being that I was home and inside and wasn't able to tour and travel and work. And I just had a bunch of time on my hand. I'm like, man, I need to do something productive with this. So why not have these conversations and inspire the world and inspire the people, while at the same time, giving my heroes their roses. So that's pretty much what the thought process was. It was amazing. I learned so much. I learned so many backstories, so many moments that were epic that I didn't know. And it was epic, man. And, rest in peace to the legend DMX.
Yes.
Crazy, because and I know he wasn't the type that, really check his DMs and stuff like that, but I sent him a DM. I think in like February, March, reaching out, wanting to have a moment with him on IG Live. And, I know the great Biz Markie has been dealing with some illness recently. I was trying to get, right after I had Big Daddy Kane on, I was trying to get Biz Markie on, because the story that Big Daddy Kane shared, and Dougie Fresh, both had Biz Markie in it, man. So I really wanted to show love and highlight him. And then unfortunately, he got ill, man. But and it's still some people that I want to get on. There's still some people that I haven't gotten on yet.
Who's the people you're looking forward to getting on?
I want to get Yandy Smith. We know her for Love and Hip Hop, and her husband Mendices, but she's a beast from a business sense, bro. Like, she managed Jim Jones for a long time, when Dipset was at its biggest point. So we worked alongside one another for a lot of that, because I work with Jim Jones and Dipset a lot. Right. And she made sure I was straight on the business end so many times, man. And just made a lot of key plays happen. And a lot of people don't know that side of her. So I just kind of wanted to share that side with her. So that I had reached out to Rod Digger. I wanted to get Rod Digger on. Fat Joe is someone that I really want to get on as my hero, man. Slick Rick is another person I would love to get on. Just the greats, bro. Would love to have Swiss on. Would love to have Timbaland on. Just to name a few. I was trying to get Maya on. The schedules didn't allow. And at a certain point, she stopped doing the interviews. But she was actually on my list to having on as an interview. I was trying to get Foxy. Which is very difficult. But she's open to it. Which is pretty cool to me.
It's fine.
She didn't turn it down. I think it's a timing thing. So Foxy, I was trying to get Young M.A. and Dave East, since we work together and stuff like that. So I haven't reached out in an actual minute. So maybe I'll try it again. Maybe the timing of it wasn't right. Busta Rhymes, man, I can go on and on.
There's a lot of
yeah, bro, absolutely.
Oh man, yeah, but I like what you do. What you do with the shows too. You play their songs while you're doing it, especially with the Capone. I noticed that you did that on that show. You're playing his songs, give him his flowers, because a lot of these shows on these mainstream New York hip hop stations, they don't give their flowers to the hip hop legends, and that's where the discord between the old and the new generation comes in, and that's
right.
You can't have that. You need to have there's got to be a bridge to that gap.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Yeah, I wanted to kind of show them what the songs that I loved. You know what I mean? Like, when I was playing Redman and joints, he's like, "Get out of here, Amadeus." I'm like, bruh, come on, man. I have Muddy Waters cassette tape, bro. Like, don't play with me, man. Like, I had KG on. We was playing the Naughty by Nature records and other records he produced for Big and other artists, man. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, Next and Coffee and John A, bro. Like, he was like, wow. So a lot of them are blown away. Like, Dougie Fresh was super impressed. Like, nah, bro. Like, come on, man. I know Lottie Dottie. Like, come on, man. Like, you and Slick Rick, bro. Like, so yeah, it's just a moment to just, give them praise and thanks, man, for all that they've done in the game. Absolutely.
Lottie Dottie. That's what when Slick Rick was on there at MC Ricky D.
Sheesh.
crazy.
He's crazy.
He's one. He's one of the greatest of all time. Just the Great Adventures of Slick Rick. That album. That's a top 5 hip hop album of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah,
from a storytelling aspect too.
Yeah. Like you felt like you were there. You felt like you were literally watching a movie, you know, as he told those stories. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Speaking of interviews and placements, will there be an Amadeus Drake track in the future? I think that's an ultimate goal.
Dude, I've been trying so hard, man. And what's crazy is, and I gotta see. Maybe I gotta buy a battery because you know, back in the day, you had the BlackBerry, the Tom ports.
Oh yeah.
I gotta pull those out and see if I can find buy batteries to those, man. Because dude, the messages and stuff that I had in those phones, like I used to send Drake beats when we had MySpace. You know, to just date myself, man. And he blew up, and you know, I ran into him a few times. We brought him out on tour with Trey. So I ran into him a few times and was able to connect with him and the people around him. But when you reach that level of success, man, it becomes and I don't like to use this word, but this is how it felt. This is how it feels. It almost becomes impossible, like to make it happen, to like kind of cut through and get through to them and really be seen and heard, man, because it's the top it's the top dog, it's the top dude, But one thing I've always will be is optimistic and positive and keep trying, so that at the end of the day, if it works, hip hop parade. If it doesn't, at least I can walk away from it knowing that I put my best foot forward and I tried any and everything possible from a positive standpoint to make it happen. And if it's not what God has for me in my journey, in my path, and if it doesn't align, then regardless of what I feel, I guess it's not meant to be. You know what I mean? So if it's meant to be, it'll come together in due time. It'll all align. But if it's not, it is what it is.
I think eventually it'll happen, because there's going to be a time when Drake's time is up, even though he's the top dog right now, he starts sinking, and then that's when he's going to become more available. And that's, if you can't get through to him now, you're definitely going to get through to him when he starts falling down here, because
no one's, you're right, man. It's a big point, and not that we wish him that, we wish him to stay on top, but
yeah.
Life doesn't happen that way. You have your moments, and then you cool off a little bit, you know what I mean? Because there's other people out here and other creators that are creating greatness as well. And, you got to share the spotlight. You got to share the moments, you know what I'm saying? So not always will you have the high moments and be on top. Somebody else got to come in first place. You know what I mean?
That's right. You're exactly right, man. And just getting into, how do you feel by actually being an actual musician gives you an edge in being a music producer, especially in today's main scene? I mean,
you're just able to hear things different. Like your ear works different, like your understanding of music, right? And the theory, and there are some right or wrong things in music based off of it feeling good or sounding good. You could definitely hit a wrong key, but I do feel like there's no rules when it comes to creativity. You know what I mean? Like there's no right or wrong. If it feels good, it feels good. So from a musician lens, it's definitely taken me over the top, and it's kind of giving me a cheat code in a way, on creativity, because of what I'm hearing in my head musically. You know what I mean? So I definitely feel it's an advantage. But, there's a lot of musicians and producers out here that are not musicians, that aren't classically trained or went to school for it, that just have dope ears themselves and can't play a song, musically, but can articulate and can get out whatever they hear on the inside out on track, man. So salute to those people that are able to do that as well. Because not every dope producer are players, you know what I'm saying? So, but if you're able to master, your niche and find your space and do what you do, again, to me, it's no rules when it comes to that.
No, there isn't at all. Most importantly is the fact that you were able to create sounds for TV. I mean, we're talking scores for ESPN's First Take, VH1, Burger King, Sprite commercials. Yes, you were able to cross over, and actually, when you think of the royalties, you profit the most off of that, which is crazy. And people wouldn't realize that. You think of a hit record with Justin Bieber, that would just be out of this world, but it's the royalties that come from these First Take and even scores from commercials.
Right. Yeah.
Crazy.
It's kind of like the ongoing check, man. You know what I mean? Like ESPN, being shout out to ESPN and ESPN Music, Kevin Wilson over there, Claude Mitchell, and the whole team. They're amazing, man. Even though I created the First Take theme song, which plays every day, multiple times a day, there's some scoring that I've done as well that also plays throughout the show.
Even in Monday Night Football.
Yeah, Monday Night Football. Yeah, it's been a really cool experience with ESPN. I'm forever grateful to have the opportunity to be able to score, and see my favorite athletes do their thing, to, sometimes hear my music in the background. It's a great feeling. But yeah, man, the ASCAP checks be coming in, quarterly. And like you said, at the top of the list, it's always, those ESPN tracks that are playing every day, multiple times a day all around the world. So it's crazy. It's definitely crazy.
I want to hear the story about Diddy signing you to the Bad Boy Hitmen producers crew.
Dude, legendary. For me, I would argue with anybody if they would say they were more of a Puff Daddy fan than me, like especially growing up. You know what I'm saying? Like my sister, man, like my whole family can vouch. The curly hair, still got the curly hair, like the curly hair. I have the part in the center that's natural. I used to wear the shades and to do the shiny
Did you have the shiny suits? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I went to church. I went to church on Easter Sunday one year in an orange, like a tangerine orange suit, the whole suit.
Wow.
The whole suit is tangerine, bro. Like I just loved colors. I just loved to shine bright like a diamond. I wasn't ashamed. Like that was just me. So, of course I was inspired by him musically and from a business sense and everything that he's built with the whole Bad Boy empire. So it was a dream of mine to one day be a Bad Boy Hitman, man. And Bad Boy Hitman are the producers that are a part of his team and the producers that are managed by Bad Boy. And, that was a dream come true for me, man. So people would always ask me like, yo, you was already on, like Amadeus was already who he is. Like, why would you, be a part of Bad Boy? And I'm like, bruh, that's like going to the Bulls, bro. That's like being drafted to the Bulls, bro, where, Puff is Phil Jackson and, Biggie is, you know what I mean? Michael Jordan,
yeah.
Mace, BJ Armstrong, and Faith Evans, Tony Kukoc, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you, because I had already built a name for myself. I had already produced for 50 artists at that time. And,
right.
I was like, nah, this is a chance. This is something that I've, as a child, as a kid, dreamt of being a part of. So, and for me to be selected and chosen to be such a part of such an elite team of champions and of championships, it's like, it's an honor, it's a privilege, man. So when it came about, I was just like, wow, this is, I'm truly living my dreams, man. And, just being a part of his imprint, me being a Bad Boy Hitman is something that I'll hold on to title-wise forever. I still use that still to this day because it's something that I earned. And, you'll forever remember Bad Boy and Bad Boy Hitman producers, you know what I'm saying, from all of the hits that were created, man. So, like I said, dream come true. Honored to be in his presence and see him work on various projects and just to see his work ethic in general. Like I remember when he told me, like, yeah, I'm about to start this, this TV network called Revolt. Like I sit right there to hear him say that. And now, to be able to look at the channel and it's doing amazing things and Ciroc and, when he had Sean John clothing line and the music. And I'm like, yo, the perfume and the cologne. It's like, dude, everything he touches just turns to gold, bro. Like, and everything he does is just incredible. Like, from the Sean John velours and his actual colognes really smelled good, like where you really liked it and just didn't wear it because it was him, but like it really smelled good. Like, and the music was, it's just genius, man. Just a true genius, man.
One of the greatest of all time. And
Absolutely.
the fact that he recognized you, you're on your way 100%, working with major artists, over 100 major artists, over 100. We're talking major, and with Trey Songz and getting back to him and working with him. How is it with him on tour and being able to see how he creates music in his own space?
I mean, it's dope. Trey and I linked up after his first album. We was in the studio. I was working on a record called I Know. No, not I Know. What was it called? Is it I Know? No, it is called I Know. Yeah, it's called I Know. And it was Mike Jones featuring Trey Songz. And we was in the studio. And in the studio, there was a drum set. And I'm like, y'all play drums, man. And they was like, you don't play no drums, bro. I was like, trust me. Like, I'm a musician first. I play drums. And they didn't believe me. And I just left it as is. I never got on. I didn't play anything that night. I just put it out there. I told Trey, I was like, listen, man, the music you making, bro, like, you're going to need a live band. You know what I'm saying? And when you do, holla at me. You know, I would love, you know, to put that band together for you and be that guy. And I just kind of put that out there. You know, we went our separate ways, and a year goes past, and I get a phone call from his manager, like, yo, you ready to put a band together for Trey? I was like, who, me? And he's like, yeah. I was like, no. He's like, well, you told Trey, and Trey heard you. And Trey told me to find you and track you down. And, you know, he wants you to be the music director. And for me, I never did that before. I play drums, but I don't know about organizing a band and being the leader. And, you know, so I tried to pass it off to my brother Butters, who was already a music director for Case and Casey and JoJo and Leela James. And so he was like, nah, bro, like, how do you think I got to where I'm at today? Like, I didn't know what I was doing, and they gave me a chance, and we grew together. He's like, so I think you should take the job. You know, I'll be a keyboard player. You know, anything you need, you know, I'll show you the way, bro, behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying? And yo, that was 14 years ago. So it was a moment of Trey never having a band before, me never putting one together, and us coming together and growing together. You know what I mean? And putting it together and being side by side and making it happen with one another, you know, the whole time, man. And like I said, that was 14 years ago. We've toured almost the entire world, from, you know, all of the United States to Europe and Asia and, you know, Australia and Africa. And, you know, man, it's crazy how just me saying, yo, I play drums, and putting it out there into the universe, how it come around full circle. And I dreamt of wanting to play Madison Square Garden, you know, and did that 5 times. You know, I'm a New York Giants fan. You know, we played MetLife 5 times at Summer Jam in front of 60,000 people. You know what I mean? Like, we played Staples Center, you know what I'm saying? Home of the late Kobe Bryant and Shaq. And, you know, so it's just crazy, bro. It's just crazy, man. And as I tell it and I share it, it's just amazing just to hear it and to be like, wow, like that really did happen. You know what I mean? So, you know, you got to put the work in, you got to believe, because just like this is able to happen, you know, for me, it can happen for everyone else too, you know, and there's enough space, there's enough opportunities, there's enough open doors. There's enough money being made. It's new money made every day, you know, for everybody to shine and to be successful and to be great.
Were you at the tour? I believe it was the Between the Seats tour. I'm pretty sure you were probably there when he brought out R. Kelly and Keith Sweat.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep. Yeah, man. Legendary. And, you know, that's a part of my job too as a music director, kind of like orchestrate and figure out who's going where and when to bring them out and how much of a song we're going to do, and keeping track of time, you know, because you're given a certain time, you know, for the whole show. And, you know, for the Chris Brown Between the Sheets tour, we were going back and forth one another. So we would have 20, Chris would have 20, and, you know, so you got to make sure you're on time, you end it on time, so that everything just stays on point from a schedule sense. So yeah, that was legendary, man. That was legendary. It was kind of weird with that, because for that tour, the band wasn't on stage. We was behind the stage, like in scaffolds behind the stage playing, because of how the stage was designed, you know, with Chris and Trey, like, you know, the lights and just it being a crazy stage, it couldn't fit the band and all of the dancers and stuff like that. So we ended up being not, you know, you didn't see us, but you heard us. And that was the first time ever performing and not being on stage, man. So it was crazy. Like, the family coming to the tour and the shows, and they can hear you, you know, but they can't see you as they used to, man. So that part sucked.
Yeah.
But overall, you know, for the show, you know, you got to make sacrifices sometimes to give the people and the fans and the audience the best experience. And I do feel like that show and that tour was epic. So I'm not mad at not being on the stage. The other dope part was we didn't have to have any wardrobe. So your boy was back there with shorts, pajamas. We had costumes on back there, like and undies. Like, yo, the dares that was happening was crazy. Like, we was wilding out back there because you couldn't see us. So we was all kind of stuff happening.
Wow, that's just iconic. That whole tour, and then R. Kelly and Keith Sweat coming out, and just, you know, because those were the two figureheads of the '90s, and it's now you got Trey Songz, Chris Brown are the two figureheads right now.
Right, absolutely.
History was made right there. Were you around Trey when he was making, because Trey's been in movies too, so I believe he was in the Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Yeah.
Were you around Trey during that time too?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, we was. I was working alongside him when he did that movie, and I was working alongside when he did Blood Brother,
Blood Brother,
which was the one that he actually starred in,
Mm-hmm.
and was able to go to the screening for that and see it, before it came out and before it was released. Yeah, man. So yeah, we actually talked about it too. I was like, yo, them scary scenes, man. Like, he's like, yeah, it'd be a little crazy. I ain't gonna lie. They do create that energy of like it really going down. So, definitely proud of him for having those experiences, on the screen.
That's legendary. It's legendary that you even, took part in his movie career too, and being
Yeah.
alongside him. That's insane. And the fact that everything that you've done and throughout your career with production, just everything, man. What projects are you working on in the near future? You got your own company, your own label, everything.
So, yeah, man, I'm just kind of getting back to to normal, honestly. Like you said, hopefully things get open again so I can get back to the stage and perform with Trey, and also being in Las Vegas at Dre's nightclub with my residency out there as a drummer. But yeah, man, I got a lot of stuff. I've been working with Jordan Sparks, T.I., who else? Jake Miller, Austin Mahone, um, Fab, Keisha Cole, Chris Brown, so got a lot of records in the works, and just trying to get back to some sense of normalcy, man. So definitely looking forward to that. A lot of teaching too. I've been doing a lot of teaching, a lot of educating the students on the music business, and spoke at NYU a few times virtually, PS55, then working with Windows of Hip Hop, an amazing organization that has been bringing different ideas and opportunities for the kids at school. So doing a lot more of that. Like I said, just taking care of myself, honestly. I've been working out, been riding a bike for this last year, and just making sure that my mental and physical is on point, man, because that's very important. And that needs to be in order to prosper and to be successful, with everything else, man. So it's pretty much where I'm at, man. Just going with the flow and staying creative and remaining musical. And, so you definitely should hear some incredible records this year, man.
I'll be looking forward to it. Before we break, I want to get into the sports talk because you did mention you're a big New York Giants fan. I need your thoughts on the draft.
So I'm not big on the drafts. Like this year, shout out to my homie AB, my brother. I went and watched the draft with him, and he's very knowledgeable of football and how it works. Like he broke down to me the salaries, and I didn't even know it worked, like the first rounds and who gets paid what and how long. And so I learned a lot this year about the drafts. But overall, I'm excited. And not just as a Giant, but just for everybody, like for all of, the kings around the world that put the work in all their lives as athletes, for their dreams to be coming true. Even though I didn't understand it, I would watch just to watch it to help and to be in support of the celebration of them, as they embark on their new journeys in the NFL, man. So from that lens, I'd be hyped. I'd be super hyped, man. And whoever we get is whoever we get, and excited to see them, on the field. So yeah, man, overall, I'm not only excited about the Giants, but I'm excited for all of the young players that made it into the NFL. Just definitely a big look, big opportunity. I'm sure there was a lot of doubt along the way, and people that bet against them and that didn't believe, and moments where they thought they wouldn't make it, but they made it, man. So congrats to everybody that was drafted into the NFL.
100%. Let's hope the Giants do good. Even though I'm a Jets fan, let's hope that the Giants do good. Yeah.
Ooh, listen, I have an application that I can email you right now. If you want to kind of change colors, man, because you got the blue on right now. You got the Knicks blue, is the same blue as the Giants, man. So yeah. I got applications, man. If you want to come over, man, it's all right. It's good. We'll forgive you.
Oh man, here, listen. I mean, the Giants they pissed me off Christmas Eve that year when Victor Cruz ran that touchdown all the way past Antonio Cromartie. Was it the 80-yard, 100-yard touchdown run back?
Dude.
But I did go for you guys when you beat the Patriots, so I was happy.
My man. Not gonna lie, if we were sitting home, twiddling our thumbs, man, and y'all, was in the Super Bowl, bro. I can't bet against New York, man. I can't I can't bet against, you know, the home team. So
Yeah,
I
no.
definitely would root you guys on, man. I can't hate, you know what I mean?
No. For basketball, are you a Knicks fan?
So I was a Knicks fan. Um, you know, with me, I do be fans of the teams, but I take it a step further and become fans of some of the players,
Mm.
right? So I'm a big Carmelo Anthony fan. Um, and I didn't like the way that whole thing went down. I didn't like the way they treated him. And he's a staple. He's an icon and a legend, especially
100%.
in New York. And I just didn't like the way they moved with him. It was just so much lack of disrespect and integrity. And when they did that to him, I didn't want no parts of the Knicks, bro. Like for real. I didn't want no parts of the Knicks. I started rocking with Brooklyn. Like just
Oh
because.
no.
Yeah, bro. Just because of that. Like it wasn't even no
Yeah.
bandwagon. This is before they had Kyrie, before they had Harden and KD. Like I just, you know, it was just different. And I'm gonna say this too, and I never really said this online, but this is how I feel. The culture that Brooklyn has, to me, caters to us more than the Knicks. Meaning, when I go to the Brooklyn Arena, the Barclays Center, it's a different energy, yo. It's a different energy. It's a different vibe versus the Knicks. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm talking about from a culture standpoint, like us being like minorities and, you
I
know,
know what you
from,
mean. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's
Dolan's
just,
yeah. Well, he's very racist from what I've heard,
yeah,
what
bro.
we've
Like,
seen. Just the way he treated Oakley and what he's
yeah,
trying to do to Spike Lee. You see it, and you're not going to catch me down at the Garden anytime soon. I think that the ticket prices are astronomical. They're not
for
even
real.
that good. Well, this year apparently they're a playoff team out of nowhere, but
Right,
they've been terrible for years, and he does nothing to improve the team at all. I
right.
mean, you have Brooklyn who's winning literally right down the street from you, and they're bringing in KD and Kyrie. What does that say? That points to ownership to me.
Yes, sir. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. Like, you know, I went to a Knicks game before was it this year? I think it was this year. Was it this year or last year? I forgot when it was. Was it this year or last year for my birthday?
Mm-hmm.
Mad random. I was just like, I was in Harlem and was like, yo, it's a Knicks game today, man. Like, and it was like I think that was the day of my birthday. It's either on a Friday or Saturday, something like that. And went, you know, you go last minute, you know, and you know, you get the season ticket holders that's just like, whatever, let me just get rid of these, man. And it was like floor seats, like the third or fourth row. And I think I got it for like 300 or something crazy, or 400 total.
Wow.
With the Delta Sky Lounge access and everything, like fire.
That's
And
fine.
I went and I had a great time. I think they were playing Boston. I had a great time. You know, the energy was cool, but like they didn't play no hip hop joints. Like, you know, all of the dances and all of the entertainment was just like jazz and super 80s and 70s rock. And I love all genres. Like I'm a musician, so I love jazz, I love rock. But I'm
Your
like,
favorite's dance. That's your favorite genre.
yeah, like so you wouldn't play none. Like you're not gonna play no New York artists. Like no, come on, bro. Like Fat Joe is here all the time. You're not gonna play that. Like you're not gonna play all the way up. Like you're not gonna like none of that. Like come on, bro. It's like come on, man. So I don't know. So but when you go to Brooklyn, like you feel like you're in New York. You feel like you're in Brooklyn. From the entertainment, the people that singing the national anthem, you know, the performances that's happening during halftime, like the music that's being played, the chanting music. It's just a different vibe. It's just more culture, you know, to the Brooklyn, man. So hopefully, you know, they step it up at the Knicks. Salute to the Knicks. They're doing great. And again, this is not to any, it's not to the team. It's not even to the team. Like you said, it's not even like I don't like it. It's the ownership. It's the organization that I just, like you said, how they treated Oakley, how they treated Melo. Just come on, bro. Like how even Spike.
Yeah.
Spike, you know, had that situation, you know, with the entrance or whatever happened with him. Like, come on, bro. Like Spike has been coming here for like 30, 40 years, been paying that crazy ticket fee for that first row.
And then
for
all of a sudden,
years,
one
bro.
day, it's just, no, you're no longer welcome back here through this entrance. Use the other one.
You're bugging, bro. Like, come on, bro. You're bugging, bro. Like, I don't even think about the amount of money he spent in that building. Just him alone. Like, you're bugging. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, man. But salute to the Knicks. They are playing amazing. And it's good to see. You know, I am from New York still at the end of the day. They are the staple. You know, the New York Knicks, Madison Square Garden. So, you know, I'm definitely rooting for them. You know, I've been feeling better. Seeing Melo do his thing in Portland and him being given a second chance, I feel better. So I don't know. Maybe I'll come around one day. We'll see.
Maybe. How about for Mets and Yankees? I'm going to assume you're a Yankee fan.
I'm a Yankee fan. When Robinson Cano went over to the Mets, I went because I support my friends. You know what I'm saying? And we met and became brothers. And I started wearing Mets attire and going to the games to support him. And all my boys and people was just going crazy on me, man. Like, what are you doing in those colors, man? I'm like, my boy plays for the Mets, bro. Like, if y'all, play for the Yankees and y'all went and played for the Mets, guess who will be at the Mets game? Me, because y'all my boys. So you gotta support each other, man. So shout out to Robinson Cano, but I'm definitely a Yankee. He was a Yankee first, which is why I was a Robinson and still am a Robinson Cano, straight out the gate. But when he came to the Mets, man, and we linked up, I was like, yeah, I gotta support bro the Mets, but I am a New York Yankees fan. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and Citi Field is a nice stadium. It's nice.
Very nice. Very nice. Both stadiums are definitely fire. You know what I mean? So either way, you can't lose with both stadiums.
I think the Jets need their own stadium. The Giants can have MetLife.
I wish we can get a dome.
Yeah, I do too.
That'll be fire, bro. But I think they use, like they said, I think they use the cold and the weather for advantage, over those other teams that's used to playing in domes and in the sun. You know what I mean? So I guess whatever. It's just not cool for the fans that are not running on the field, that's just sitting still, freezing their asses off. So.
Oh man, Amadeus, is there anything else you'd love to tell the audience up here? Anything else?
Man, Max, I appreciate you having me on, my brother. This has definitely been a great conversation. Love the way you interview. Love the questions that you've asked. I think it's only a great interview, if you have the person on the other end that's making the conversation engaging and great for the audience. And you've done that this entire time. Again, salute to you on the radio show and all that you do. Humbled and grateful to be selected to be on the show. To everybody tuned in. Much love to you all. Thank you for all of the love and all of the support throughout the years. I'm far from done. I'll definitely still continue to give greatness in music. And for those dreamers out there, man, I'm an example of dreams do come true. It's going to seem hard. It's going to look impossible. It's going to look like it's not obtainable. It's going to look like you can't make it happen. But through it all, through the doubt, through the haters, through the disbelief, through the hood, through where I grew up at, through some of my surroundings, I was able to keep my eye on the prize, man. And I'm grateful that I'm able and here today to share my story with you guys. Hope you all were inspired and motivated. And I appreciate you all on a social media level. My Instagram is Amadeus PBM, AMADEUS PBM. Twitter is producer Amadeus. And if you're trying to reach out to me, I'm on Instagram more than Twitter. So Instagram will be the best place to reach me. Again, Max, I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you for having me, man.
No doubt. And whenever you want to come back on, you're always welcome. Anything you have to promote, anything you need from me, you're good with me. So
thank you, man.
We'll get you back on whenever you need it, man. I want you to enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Stay safe. We look forward to the upcoming records that you have coming out. When it's all said and done, you'll be in the top producers of all time. Guarantee it.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate that, man.
No doubt. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, man.
All right, you too. Blessings, everybody. Yep. Much love.
Much love.